And I saw this scene before my eyes, even though I'm in church and I'm worshiping and I can see the worship team up on the platform and the words are on the screen. While all of that is going on, I'm having this encounter with the Lord. And I see a special forces soldier. So this is in like the picture and the vision in my mind, in my imagination is the best way I can describe it. And I see a special forces soldier, and I see his canine dog, the service dog. And then I see how the special forces soldier, he's the master of the canine dog, but he's also the best friend to this canine dog. And there's this bond between them. There's this closeness between them. There's this unity. I then see the special forces soldier like parachuting out of an aeroplane with his canine service dog. I then see the special forces soldier parasailing down on ropes from a platform with his canine dog. I then see the special forces soldier with his service dog out on the battlefield hunting the enemy. This soldier's got his rifle and the animal's close to him, and there's this bond and this unity. And then God starts to speak to me how that service animal, that canine dog, knows the voice of his master. It knows the command of his master. That dog is so well trained that it won't get distracted by another voice. It only knows the command and the instructions of its handler. And one of the special bonds that they have, these two individuals, the soldier and the service dog, is there's an obedience. There's an obedience of the service dog to its master. And it just spoke to me so powerfully. I believe that obedience is the word in this hour. Jesus said that if you love me, you'll obey me. And he told his disciples, go into all the world and preach the good news and lay down your life for each other. Jesus also said, a new command I give you, that you would love one another. Obeying the command of Jesus and being obedient to Jesus is holy, is righteous, and is godly. Obedience is not legalism. Obedience out of love is love, and it's what we're called to as Christians. Just as the service dog, the canine animal, knows the voice of its master, we're called to know the voice of our master. Jesus said that his servants know his voice. His disciples know his voice, and a stranger's voice they will not follow. Jesus said, if you love me, you'll obey me. You'll obey my commands. And we're called to obey the commands of Jesus. And in this vision, I was just so aware of how close the soldier was to his service animal, and this bond that they have, and this unity that they have, and the love that they had for each other, and the trust that they had for each other. And I feel like God was showing me that's the kind of bond that he wants with his children. That's the kind of bond that he wants with his people, where we're so close to him, we're joined to him, we do everything together with him. And God, Bible says God will never leave us, he'll never abandon us, but he'll lead us and guide us in the way that we should go. And I believe that Jesus wants to be our captain. I believe that Jesus wants to be our Lord. I believe that Jesus wants to be our master. I believe that Jesus wants to be our teacher. And we're called to go out into the mission field with him. It's the special forces soldier that has the majority of skills. He knows where he's going. He knows what to do. He knows what the great mission is. And it's the job of that service animal to follow the voice of his master, the voice of his handler. And I feel like God was showing me that we're called to follow his voice. We're called to follow his leadership. We're called to be close to him. We're called to go where he goes, to do what he does, and to say what he says. And this encounter just so spoke to me, because for a long time it's about, I've had this mentality or this heart issue where it's like, God, what do you want me to do for you? God, what should I be doing? And I feel like God's saying it's not so much what you do, it's who you with. And I feel like God is saying that he wants us to go out with him. He wants us to do things with him. He just wants us to obey him and to follow him. So that's the image that I had, this special forces soldier with his service animal, and they were out in the battlefield. They were rappelling from platforms on ropes while the dog was tied to the soldier. They were parachuting out of aircraft down into the battlefield. And there was this unity, this love, this closeness, this bond, this fellowship. And that the animal, the service dog, knows the voice of its master. It obeys the commands of his master, and he or she, male or female dog, goes where his master goes where the handler goes, does what the handler says, and that's not a bad thing. Jesus is not a task master. Jesus is not a slave driver. He will not force us to do that, but he invites us to do that. Jesus says to his disciples, I no longer call you servants, but friends, because a servant does not know what its master is doing. But as God's children, as Jesus's friends, we can go out onto the mission field. We can go into the battlefield with him, following his voice, obeying his commands, and trusting his leadership everywhere he goes. So I hope that speaks to you. I hope that encourages you. It greatly encouraged me. And that encounter just seemed to give me just a real fresh sense of purpose and passion and destiny, that it's not so much what I do for God independently of him. It's what I do with God together, in unity, in love, in relationship, and in fellowship. Anyway, guys, just wanted to share that with you. I pray it blesses you. Thank you for watching. God bless.